Duncan, Duke and modern day. Duncan works on the Scarlowy Railway. He's a Scottish narrow gauge engine and is often rather grumpy. He rocks and rolls around the rails and is not the most polite out of all the engines. He often sees Duke, who was the Mid-Sodor Railway's #1. He holds a lot of stories from there, and whenever Duncan acts up, he always tells him one of the stories that happened on that railway. But the story he brings up the most is the story of Stanley, a locomotive who crashed so much he became a pumping engine and was put at the back of the shed. This always got Duncan to behave. It was a trick Duke used whenever Peter, Sam and Sir Randall were acting up. One day, Duncan was waiting at the junction as usual. This is where either he would get passengers from a locomotive that would pass by, or when a bus would come by. They were being late, and Duncan was rather cross. "Oh, when will they come?" he grumbled. And just then he heard a bus horn. "Oh, about time," he said. Just then Bertie came rolling in. "Sorry, Duncan, my engine overheated. I broke down. Anyway, sorry I'm late." "Well, it's about time you got here," said Duncan. "You're making me 15 minutes late." "Well, I'm sorry, Duncan, but my engine broke down." "Oh, whatever, you're just trying to be lazy," said Duncan. Some of Bertie's passengers got off and entered Duncan's coaches. Duncan was taken away by this. "What? Why haven't you all gotten into my coaches?" he said. "Well, roads is a bit more of an easier way of transport nowadays, Duncan. It doesn't cost us much money." "Oh, but railways have been on this island for so much longer, and they're so much of a more popular use." "I know that, but times change, Duncan. We can't all be useful forever. It's not as if we can be useful for hundreds and hundreds of years." "Oh, but hasn't Edward been useful for over 100 years? "Yes, but he's only been preserved by Sir Apperance. He should have been scrapped long ago." "Oh, I gotta go meet Duke," said Duncan. So Duncan angrily reached away. Duke was getting ready to take a slate train when... Duke! I need to talk to you." "Oh, what is it, Duncan? You have a passenger train to pull. Now your passengers will be even later." "That's since, but you don't seem to be on time." "But Duke, is it true that road is more used way of travel nowadays?" "Well, yes it is, Duncan." "But why?" "Times change, Duncan. Road is much more of a cheaper option for people. You need to buy a ticket to go on rails, and they can often go for very expensive prices." "Then why are we kept in use?" "Well, who would take the goods trains?" "But then what about the vans?" "Well, sometimes rail is a bit more efficient, but that's really the only reasons we're kept in use. And besides, we're only kept in service because we're a heritage railway. If it wasn't for Mr. Percival and Sir Apperance, this railway would have been closed down a long time ago." "Oh, okay." "Now I suggest you get back to work.
Your passengers will be wondering why you're in a slate quarry.
Alright, Duke. So Duncan sadly puffed away. Duncan sadly puffed down the line, but with each road vehicle he saw, the more his anger grew. At every station he went to, he saw at least one car. Soon Duncan had had enough. Every person he saw get out of a car, he would start to leave immediately. He started to leave his guards behind. He was causing a lot of trouble. Soon enough, there was almost no one riding in the coaches. At one point, Duncan came to another stop at a station. He saw someone in protection gear exit his car, and he walked onto the platform. He was just about to enter the coach when, "Not today, thank you," said Duncan, and he raced off without the passenger. "Oh my," said the car. The passenger shouted at Duncan, "Come back! My car can't get over to the slate quarry," he shouted. But Duncan didn't hear. He was very pleased with himself. Now I won't. Now everyone will have to go by rail," he thought. Duke was making a return trip back to the slate quarry after taking his first train. Duke soon arrived at the station and saw the passenger. He was confused.
"Fred, what are you doing here?"
asked Duke. "Well," said Fred. "Well, Duke," said the car, "Duncan left. I don't know why."
"Oh,"
said Duke.
"Well, were you late?"
said Duke. "No. The guard's whistle didn't even blow. There wasn't even a guard, and he just ran off."
"Oh well, I'm going back to the slate quarry. I'll be in my cab,"
said Duke. "Thank you, Duke," said Fred, and he walked into Duke's cab.
"Oh, do take good care of him,"
said the car.
"Oh, I will,"
said Duke.
"Off we go,"
he said, and he raced back on his journey to the slate quarry. Duncan soon reached the line where he had to switch onto the slate line. He thought he was carrying Fred and the other workers who would do the night shifts. Duncan puffed in to the slate quarry. He was feeling very pleased with himself. He thought he had done everything right, and watched as almost all the people that came to the slate quarry to do their work got off. But the workmen were confused. "Where's Fred?" they asked. Duncan was not very happy.
"You mean the Fred that Duncan left behind?"
said a voice as Duke pulled in.
"Duke,"
said Duncan.
"You,"
said Duke.
"I left behind Fred."
Fred stepped out Duke's cab and walked up to Duncan. "Duncan, what were you thinking by leaving me behind?" Said Duncan. "Just as I thought. Now do not do it again," said Fred. "This is my work." Duncan couldn't say anything. He felt really bad. Eventually Mr. Percival found out about Duncan trying to not pull any passengers that used cards. He puts Duncan on quarry work, which making him do Duke's work. Which I must say, it is much better than that old coach passenger work. And he made Duke do Duncan's work, which Duke pulled the passenger train much better than Duncan.